This is Gary from Southeast Texas. I'm going to talk to you today about, or give you a tour of the container garden up in the front yard. First thing I'm going to talk about is the Okinawa spinach. I had 2 of them planted here. We got down to 12, 13 degrees. I was really curious if they was going to make it or not. Well, you got to get your chance. One made it, one didn't. So, you know, if I was going to be, I'm going to continue to make these. I mean, I put this in a pot, didn't really take care of them, but when it got below freezing, I put it in the house, and when it got above freezing, I pulled them back out. This is kind of a safety valve in case they don't make it. Doesn't look real pretty right now, but once it heats up, I put it in here, it'll do better. This one also got caught by, we got down to about 29, 30 degrees, so it got an additional hit, so that's why it doesn't look as good. It was coming on looking pretty good. There's your oregano, and as oregano does, it's growing good. I did buy this thyme from HEB, and it was a little short thing. It's starting to grow and do good, so, and it stayed outside pretty much the whole winter. Yeah, I can start cutting fairly soon. Okay. Then come over here. This is Roddenberry peach that actually comes back from, it's actually seeded. It's a seeded variety. It's the only seeded variety I know of. So you plant it by seed and it grows. I've only got 2 or 3 off of it, but this year it's going to make a lot. So I should get a good idea how it tastes, the flavor of it and all. This here is my Flat Wonder peach tree. The freeze kind of, I lifted it out, so the freeze kind of thinned it out if you've seen from the last video. But I'll thin it a little bit more, but it's getting about right. This is a Trilite Aprium. We're gonna see. A lot of it looked like it took a fair amount of damage from the freeze because it was bloomed out, but you know, it looks like that one will make it. And you know, we'll just, a lot of stuff, it doesn't really, you just have to see how they do. You don't know, and you know, you can worry about it, but it doesn't do you much good. This here's champagne, and it is putting on a Bariba crop. Sometimes your figs will put it on 2 crops, put on an early crop. It just got one. One, the Olympian over there has 4 or 5. It's the first time we made a Bariba crop, so it's kind of exciting. This here's the bed. This here is we left this was a eggplant, and it started coming back. We've got that cold snap, knocked it back, but it's coming back again, so it's coming back from the root. So I didn't think they would, but sometimes, you know, sometimes you leave stuff alone, sometimes you'd be surprised at what happens. Now, there was a couple other ones that didn't make it. This is the oldest tree. I think just probably 7, 8 years old, and it's a tropic snow, and it's still got a fair amount of fruit on it. Some of it's kind of pruning itself, but it's doing okay. This is Cherry of the Rio Grande. It hasn't started flowering yet. It stayed out the whole time. We got down to, like I said, 12, 13 degrees. It's in a pot. It's on the south side of the house. It's supposed to be tropical, but it survived it. So, you know, if you're up even in zone 8B, you know, it may be one to put in the ground and see if it, you know, you're going to suffer some damage if you get really, really cold. But and this fruit's not bad. We've tried the Barbado. It's not a true cherry, but it does have some cherry flavor to it. But it does go bad. I mean, once you pick it, if you pick it in the morning, it's going to be bad in the evening.
It has a fair amount of tannin in it.
It doesn't have very little tannin compared to the other stuff.
Okay.
No, I'm just telling you, remember the Barbados, you spit it out.
Yeah.
This you can. It has a little bit of tannin, not a whole lot. This here, I'm going to do a separate video on the doors, because some of them are blooming now and they're doing good. I did bring those in when it got down to 30 degrees, so I had them in the garage. More figs coming out. This is a lemonade tree that's coming out. This is the lime tree. We still haven't picked the lime yet.
Yeah,
hasn't put out any leaves yet, so hopefully they'll start doing that. This here's the nectarine tree that I bought this year without my wife knowing about it. And it's got half a dozen fruits on it. I'll probably thin this out to 1, thin that one down to 1. So I look at getting 3 to 4 fruits off of it this year. You don't want to leave all of them on there, they'll break the limbs. But at the same time, a lot of people say, take all the fruit off of it. I don't, because that's true if you're going to be growing apples, pears, things of that nature. But your nectarines and your peaches, which is basically the same thing, they're aggressive enough. As long as you thin them out, they can put fruit on that first year and not stun them. So, you know, I'm not saying if you got apples, I've heard apples, you will hurt them for the life of the tree. This here is the Olympian fig, and like I say, it's got the Bareba crop on it. It's got 2 here. It's got 1 here. That one looks like it's gonna fall off. So, be kind of neat to, you know, you get an early fruit and you'll also make enough fruit later. This is the Gramachamba tree, our bush, and it's about 4 years old and it hadn't made nothing yet. So, but hopefully it'll bloom out. It's closely related to the cherry of the Rio Grande. We'll see how it tastes. These things are from seed, so they vary from tree to tree. But this here is where I'm gonna be growing now sweet potato slips. This is a purple variety. That's the name of it. These are both store-bought. So I bought them at the store. I'll put them there. I will cover them up. And I'll put the bark up about this high on the deal and keep it wet, and it should sprout and do okay. We'll come over here. This is another tropic snow. You look at this side, it looks good. The other side's dead. But, you know, it does got some good sized peaches on it. And they'll, you know, probably first part of May, maybe, they'll make. This is a lychee tree, and it is blooming out. There's a bunch of blooms down here. Now, the problem is I don't have a second tree, so they're not going to pollinate real well. But, you know, I'm going to try to get us another tree. If I can get a different variety. This is a sweetheart variety. And like I say, if I did have another one, it died. So I'm going to try to buy another one. You can't get them locally. You have to go to Houston to get them. But I'm going to try to get one. This here is a longan tree. Now it makes better. It's more self-pollinating. It does have a little one there. Like I said, the blooms are very small on it. It's got another one up over here. So it's going to put on a little bit. And they taste very similar to lychee. These are the blueberries. Yeah, that, and I got the worms you have to cut out. You do have to watch those. They'll strip the whole tree if you're not careful.
I'll be out here doing that. They'll be chicken feed.
But, and this is the O'Neill, and O'Neill's kind of funny because he'll put on a lot of blueberries before he'll put you on leaves. And it just does this every year. And you're going to try one, ain't you?
It's not ready. It's still red on the back.
But
I'm tempted because the bird will get it first.
This is Sweet Chris. They're starting to plump up and grow. I did fertilize them good, so they're starting to put some growth on it. This is called Snow Chaser. It's another, these are Southern High Bush varieties. I have better luck with them than I do the Rabbit Eye. Rabbit Eye is better for planting in the ground. I think these are better for putting in the pot.
Nope, there's some here too. We're going to have to cut out. And there's a...
There you go.
Nope, there's some in the middle too. Okay.
We'll start here and move that way.
Okay.
And then here is going to be the Tropic Beauty. It also suffers some damage. I think a lot of this is winter damage. Now, one thing I'm going to have to make sure I do is thin this out, because you'll notice it's already starting to pull this branch down, and it can pull that branch down and break it if you're not careful. Yeah, I happened to do last year. Remember all the blooms that was on this thing, and most of them's dropped off, but it does have a few, and that's really all you want, because these things, they're going to get as big as a softball. So you don't want to have several of them on there. More of them dropped off than I thought would, but you know, we're going to have enough that for that size tree should be plenty. And this is a Meyer lemon. It's starting to put, actually you'll lose 90% of its blooms, but it'll put on enough that it should do well. This is another one of the clementine mandarins, and like I say, it's bloomed out really well this year, so hopefully it'll do well. It made a lot last year, and you're seeing they're making, now even though they make that fruit this size, that size may or may not be pollinated, so you just have to wait and see. This is the other pomelo tree, the Chandler pomelo. Again, it had a lot of blooms, but it does look like a few of them's going to stick, so there's a big bumblebee.
I can't get insects.
Is it over here?
Yeah.
Okay. And here's another one. This is a better tasting one. That's the name of it.
Mandarin, starts with a P.
Pumpkin. It was one I had too much fruit on it. It did split, but it's still growing, so we'll see how it does. A quick walkthrough, I guess, of some of the figs. I probably need to do a separate video on it, but Pretto, most of these are different ones. Lemon, improved Celeste. My son's favorite, well, his is Papa John's. He always does well. Now, like I say, a lot of this burnt stuff is just the freeze damage that happened. It'll come out of that just fine. Some of them, this is the champagne again. The one that we grew up over there, I made a cutting from it the year before last, and it's bigger than this tree. So, berry is another one we've got. A lot of LSU figs. This is a Comdic Dom. I've not made any figs off this one particularly. There's the, what's the name of it? On it is that's pomegranates. And I'm going to leave it in a pot and put it in a bigger pot if I keep it. And they haven't done that great in the ground. And then here's some of the other ones. Now I will say that the apricot tree that I was talking about, I was figuring out whether I was going to cut it down or not. Well, it died, so it solved that problem. And really don't care because I've had it for 4 or 5 years and it hasn't made but like 2 blooms. It hasn't made any fruit or set any fruit. So, and when you start seeing this is a rootstock coming out of it. And here's the top part. So I still got a little bit of the apricot, but this other stuff, all this here is just a rootstock. So when you start seeing this, that's no good because it's just a rootstock for the peaches, and those peaches aren't really very flavorful. Another big fig tree here. Again, it took some damage because it got down to 12, so some of this died back. We also had some early freeze that didn't help it any, but it's going to survive. It's going to do fine, but sometimes you do get some damage. And of course, I still got the other tree. What's this one called? Oh, loquats. I can't remember loquats. And again, it had all the damage still. Honestly, if I had to do it over again, I'd leave loquats in the pot because we get so many freeze. If it gets down below 26 degrees, it's going to freeze the fruit. So if I had them in a pot, I could take these things inside and, I would get fruit off of them. But I put them in the ground, so now they're there. And so far, 3 years in a row, we've lost the fruit. So if I was closer to the coast, it'd be all right. But, if I had to do over again, I'd leave them in a pot and see if they did better because it's better to get a little bit of fruit than none at all. But anyway, I hope you enjoy the tour. See you later.